score. Unbelievable timing on that.
And it's the Tigers straight away. Game. Elliott! What a start!
Welcome to the Ultimate Supercoach and Fantasy Sports Show. You are now listening to the Insight Fantasy Sports Podcast.
Hello and welcome back to the Inside NBL show. As always, we're brought here today by the Standard Squeeze, Ryan from Astute Newstead, but we've brought Bonus Bet along and we'll talk about them a little bit later. This is our Round 7 review show. I'm the Supercoach Mattrix and I'm here with MC Hammer himself. How's your weekend, mate?
It was good, man. A little bit quiet. It was a very small round of basketball, but you got out on the golf course.
Yeah, had a work Christmas party. That was a bit of a struggle this morning, turning up to work. Who does that on a Sunday? I'll have to have a talk to the managers. But yeah, went and played golf. Have a guess what I won as a prize in this charity golf day?
God, this is I don't know. What did you win, Mattrix?
I won some Great Northern Budgie Smugglers.
No.
So yeah, look out. The old swordfish might make a bit of a debut this summer, I reckon.
It's gonna be a hot girl summer for sure. That's insane. Well done.
Look, we're back to our normal Monday review show. It's a tough week because everybody was on single game weeks. So thanks again for everybody popping along. On today's show, we're going to cover our teams. We'll have our Squeeze of the Week winners. We're going to cover any breaking news. We're going to talk about the teams with the best schedule, review the games from a Supercoach perspective, touch on some trade thoughts, and answer all your questions along the way. How'd your team go this week, Hammer?
As always, not as well as I would have liked. But not too bad, man. I was up there. I've moved up in the rankings. I had 216 for the week, and that's without Clinton playing and captaining Source, which was pretty ordinary. But yeah, I'll take it as a win. I'm up in the top 4% now and climbing, so can't be too shocked, man. How'd you go?
Well, look, I had a stinker. I got 188. I captained Source. I brought in McVeigh over Doolittle and Lamb. Look, the bad thing's the score. Dropped a few hundred to 700th. But the worst thing is I just missed out on that cash generation of Doolittle and Lamb. I left, thinking I was just going to go Doolittle. I didn't have a Tasmania player all year, so I was intrigued about adding someone. But yeah, I won't be going back to the Magic Pool, I think.
Yeah, man, that's Doolittle came with the goods. We'll probably touch on that a bit later when we do our game reviews, but probably the silver line in this whole thing is I reckon most people captain Source. So
yeah,
without captaining him, the other ones were like JLA and Cotton, and I don't think it's affected the rankings too much. So probably a good week to miss on captain.
Yeah, I think so. Like, I did only drop 200. I expected it to be a lot worse. If there's any silver lining, I thought it would be worse. Only dropped 200 spots. Would love to get back into the 500s again. Look, let's answer a couple of questions just straight off the bat. Thanks for popping on, guys. Global's just stating, did he not call JLA a pod move? Hey man, it was fantastic. He did about a double game week's work this week.
Yeah, he was sensational.
Luke Skinner, I think we'll be mentioning him a bit later on. How many Taipans is too many?
That's
number?
That's a big question to sort of unpack. I reckon we leave that one for a bit later on, but it's definitely worth talking about.
Yeah, I'm just going to throw a number out there as 4. Don't know why. We'll talk about it later on. And a flying toilet thinks that you look like prime Daniel Johnson out here. So that's a great call. And Matty Thomas, we will have a bit of a chat about our trade targets a bit later on. But probably in our review show, in our preview show, we'll probably firm those things up. I just start to think, look, obviously we do our research. Obviously we watch the games, but I do actually find that my trade targets through talking it through with the guys here, And Hammer, I actually changed my mind about 3 times during this show. So
Yeah, it's a blessing and a curse, isn't it? Like sometimes you can be so sure coming in here, and then even after doing the pod, you walk away and like, oh shit, I don't even know where I'm going now. But yeah, that's good.
let's duck into our squeeze of the week. Carl, coach of the double dribbles, banged out 258 and 26th overall. He's won a 4-in-1 or a standard squeeze pack. So slide into our DMs, Twitter, Facebook, on our Discord, whatever you need. And just send us your address, send us your last name, Carl, and we'll get the pack out to you. Valued it in around that $50. So that's fantastic. Thank you again to the standard squeeze. Look, if you're not confident that you're going to win a week, you can use Insight 15 to go get 15% off standardsqueeze.com. They have a range of goods. I'm sitting here drinking out of a 4-in-1. I've always got a trusty homebrew bourbon here, just for your Monday nights. Monday nights with Mattrix, late nights with Mattrix. I've got an NBA show going on after this, so it's all happening. Got to mention David from Daltford Jack, still leading our pack and is second overall, closely followed by Luke from Skin Dogs, which is Luke Skinner in the chat. He's still third overall, and we currently have 5 of the top 10 in our group. So I think that's huge, mate.
Yeah, that's incredible. It just shows the strength of the community we've got here. And I mean, we throw out a lot of stuff all week, but there's some guys in here smarter than us throwing some stuff out too. So keep an eye on the Discord, and you might pick up a little pearl of wisdom every now and then.
Mate, just over to a few things. Mr. CBB said it's good to see you out of the paddy wagon.
100%.
And
definitely not missing the Nissan.
You go look up your team name, Hammer, because Paul Bark wants to add you as a rivalry, which we can do in Supercoach. I know that you've come across from NBL Fantasy, but yeah, I've got to get to business just to explain our new sponsor, Bonus Bank. It's Australia's #1 match betting website. Match betting is a very profitable side hustle. You take advantage of bookmaker bonus bets and promotion to make risk-free and tax-free income every week. With the help of Bonus Bank's tutorials and tools, you can start making your first profit and finding edges like enhanced odds, sign up to bonuses, and money back action. Bonus Bank is free to join and make your first $75. For less than $2 a day, you can upgrade to a premium account and unlock plenty of courses that cover all aspects and explain match betting. So it's basically putting other bookies against each other to make sure you get the wing. The best thing is if you use promo code INSIGHT, you'll get 25% off your first month. And you can learn how to earn bonus bank bets, convert them into cash. On average, Bonus Bank members are making $2,500 in the first 2 months. Low risk, risk-free if you follow the tutorials. So use the promo code INSIGHT to get your premium Bonus Bank account today.
How good's that?
Mate.
Huh. Playing with the house's money.
Yeah, I know. It sounds pretty good. I'm going to be giving it a go. I'm excited for him to come online so that I can give my real review. I had to do a bit of research. I didn't think it come across as too good to be true. So I'm interested to try it out myself.
Sensational.
Mate, let's go into the news.
It's time for some news from around the league.
Mate, my boy Will Magnay has returned. I tell you what, is that going to knock Marcus Lee around or not? Isn't he huge?
12 minutes on debut for Will Magnay. It's probably the most he stayed on the court for in about 2 seasons. So solid start. Didn't do a hell of a lot, but didn't do a hell of a lot wrong either. But look, Supercoach aside, it's going to be good for Tassie having the 2 tandem bigs, right?
Yeah, they're like Kruslovic as your backup big. You're probably in trouble against some of those big guys. Yeah. Look, Magnay's talented. I know that he come across, and I think he was in a 2-way deal with the Pelicans for a while. I really enjoyed watching him as a young fella when he was at the Bullets. I sat beside his mum and dad one day. Actually, had a bit of a chin wag.
Yeah.
You don't have to. Yeah, you don't. You don't have to be doing too much to get some words of wisdom from Mattrix after about 10 beers. But yeah. Anyway, sat next to them. They're lovely people from a lovely family. So look, I expect him to ramp up some ramp up to some more minutes. Hopefully we get a big discount and can get a bit of a. If Tassie have a good run, we can get onto him.
Look, I think the thing with Magnay is I'm going to say he's not going to be particularly Supercoach relevant. Where we need to look at is who's going to be losing minutes and getting impacted by his return. So, I don't think anyone's going to be holding, your Krisloviches, your Bairstows. So I think the only real one is if anyone's looking at Marcus Lee, keep an eye on how those minutes get distributed. But yeah, I don't think it's an overly relevant, bit of news.
Melbourne United holds on to the top spot, even though they're undermanned. I still think this is Melbourne United's year to lose. Tasmania looked good. Sydney looked good. Look, Melbourne without some of their stars, this was phenomenal. Yeah,
look, they're sitting well and truly atop the table now, and they just keep getting it done week in, week out. We're at the point now where we can't say, they got lucky, they got a lucky bounce here or there. They're legit. And they're doing it almost by committee. Like JLA's come back, stepped up with some big scores, but there's someone else popping up every week. They had no Travers. Who else was missing? There was Ian Clark was missing. Delhi was missing, and they didn't miss a beat, did they?
No, they were good. Look, Illy steers the ship around, but Joe Lualachua was phenomenal.
Yeah. And probably the big thing is I'm pretty sure Huck Porty still started, but he only played the 9 minutes. JLA's back. I wouldn't be surprised if he actually starts soon, although coming off the bench, he's coming in against the second string centre, and it's actually, he's carving up. I haven't seen anyone in this league for a very long time who can match this guy for size, length, mobility. He gave Sauce all kind of headaches. Look, if the schedule wasn't so disgusting, he'd have to be a lock, right?
Yeah, the schedule's just bad now. Like, we missed... Joe Lualachua would have been an absolute lock during those first 5 games where they had 4 double game weeks in 5 games, wouldn't they? Yeah.
I think from now on, he's definitely an option if you've got the kind of cash up your sleeve that you're going to need, that 1 week rental. Like, I haven't looked that far ahead in the schedule. If they've got 2 weeks, he's the kind of guy you want to bring in and park him there for a couple. But, he's made for this format of scoring.
Again, that's our breaking news. Thanks for everyone for popping on. Our league code, if you haven't joined, 680-481. As we're getting halfway through the year, I'm probably looking at locking that off just so that the guys involved can, I suppose, have the biggest chance at getting the standard squeeze packs. But yeah, we'll probably allow it for another week or so. 680-481. Get your mates in. Have a little bit of a dig because, look, Standard Squeeze giving away $50 every week to our viewers are just fantastic. Look, I want to get it out of the way early. The teams on double game weeks. This is brought to you by Ryan at Astute Newstead. Contact him on 0431 766 784 for an obligation-free home loan quote. Thanks, Ryan. I know he's an avid NBL fan, big in AFL and NRL as well. So we might even get him on the show one day. I know he's popped on the AFL show.
We should. But he'll be flat out this week with the rate rises. What an absolute shocker that was.
Yeah, I know. He still keeps messaging me and tells me my home loan's market leading, but I just see it getting a bit more expensive all the time. So, hey, sometimes it's not what you spend, it's what you save. So,
you got that out early too.
Yeah, get in touch with Hamo. But Perth and Tassie are on double game weeks, so probably 1 week streamers if you don't already have them. And New Zealand and Cairns are on those double game weeks, so they are probably the targets if you don't already have them, aren't they, Hammer?
They are. But this week just gone, there were a few injuries, were a bit of crisis sort of trades at the end, but should have been a bit of a reset week. You should be reasonably set up coming into rounds 8 and 9, but you're dead right, mate. Cairns, New Zealand, Perth, Tasmania on the double, and Cairns, New Zealand on the double. So we're going to be looking at those Cairns stacks starting to form in a lot of teams now.
At the halfway point in the league, that's about when I start looking at the ladder just to see where everybody's going. And Perth Wildcats took care. Like, everybody was talking about Perth Wildcats about being disappointing earlier on in the year. Their coach, a Toowoomba local, actually, was copping a bit of a pizzling in the media. but they took care of the Breakers, who fall to like 2-7 for the year. Mate, what'd you take from this one?
Probably the missing persons report that's been put out on Corey. Yeah, we saw Ty Webster start. A lot more balance in the team. It looked better. They're looking for Cotton, and I think having that Wagstaff and some of those guys come back into the mix who know how to get him open. He went off, didn't he? He had 30. What do you have? 43 Supercoach points, 37 actual points. So look, 37 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists. There's not a lot going on aside from scoring, but he's got the ball in his hand. They're looking for him. The opportunity's there. On another double this week, captain option.
Yeah, genuine captain option. I know a couple guys that captain Pinder too with that matchup. Sort of New Zealand haven't been the hugest team. I really like the matchup. Still banged out 31, so that was pretty good.
Yeah. The other one you looked at pretty closely and didn't pull the trigger on was Doolittle, who he had 8 points, 11 rebounds, 4 assists. Like that's a pretty solid stat line. He's touched across all areas of the stat sheet. But 31 Supercoach points, he still left me wanting more, right?
Yeah, look, it was one of those games that when I watched it, I was like, oh, well, that's good. Doolittle hasn't done much. And then I checked the Supercoach scores and I was like, oh, I've made a boo-boo.
You're right, though. Like, when you look at it and you're trying to get this guy to pass the eye test, every time he does something, I feel like it's a bonus. Like, rebound. But it's not like you go out and you're expecting it. It's almost a nervous wait for him to do more than he probably should. Like, it doesn't feel comfortable, does it?
No, it doesn't. I'm just trying to get up how many minutes. Doolittle played 37 minutes too. Basically didn't get
overtime game.
Yeah, true. Basically didn't. Oh yeah, 94-76 overtime. Blown out. But look, hard with 37 minutes. He's not going to get that every week, is he? Usher played. Sorry, he looked off the bench. Only 17 minutes. So
I'm more inclined to think that's getting close to what the rotation is going to be. They've had a bit of success the last 2 weeks. There was rumours circling around of Usher potentially being poached back to Europe. I think it might have been a Greek team circling, and they've sort of quashed those rumours down a bit. But I think this might be a lot closer to what we see going forward. At least 30 minutes for Doolittle, but once again, the opportunity's there. I'm still not comfortable that the production's going to be there every week. But he's gone up again. He's $239,000. He's made some people some cash, and he's climbing back towards his original import price.
Yeah, I was excited at 170 and then didn't pull the trigger. And then I saw him at 200 and I was like, oh, look, I'm just not – I know he's going to make money at a -2 break even, but I was really worried. Just he's undersized too. Yeah. I probably expected – like Pinder did a lot more with his minutes, 21 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists. But look, the extra 10 minutes definitely helped bank some points. So
yeah, definitely. It's something that's taken me a bit by surprise with coming across to the Supercoach platform is just how volatile these price rises are. Like, swinging 30, 40, sometimes 50,000 K in a week. There's some big fluctuations, isn't there?
Like if you got Lamb and Doolittle, you made like 60, 70 K this week.
Yeah, and you can keep them both for another week.
Yeah, exactly.
They both have pretty low break evens as well, so you're probably making cash again.
Yeah, that's probably my question to you. Do you think it's too late to get on Doolittle or Lamb? Lamb got 37 in this game, was the highest scoring from the Breakers in a losing team. Do you think it's too late? Are we chasing last week's points or, do you think you can add them this week?
Look, the price of Lamb's pretty significant now. He's up over 300K. I think he's going to max out soon. He's had a couple of good weeks. He's definitely the beneficiary of Cheatham still being out. I'm hearing he's ahead of schedule to return. Finn Delaney's had some down weeks. I'd like to point that out, flying toilet after his terrible toilet truth bomb. But look, I think Doolittle we can definitely run with another week. He's cheap enough to potentially hold on your bench. Lamb, they got the good schedule. I reckon you can hold him for a couple of weeks if you're playing him on your floor. They're both options. You may lose money though.
I feel more comfortable adding Lamb than I do Doolittle, especially with the double game week instead of just a double game week. I'm going to hold him for a couple weeks, even if he goes up a little bit this week and then drops a little bit the next week. I think it's just about putting points on the board.
There's a question that's just popped in from your man Nee here, Matty. He says he already has Wardenberg, Dr. Doolittle, Clintman and Bannon. Should he add Lamb? What are your thoughts?
I think I'd find it really hard to work out who I would add, like who I would start and sit between those guys. But I tell you what, it's a killer front court. I do just wonder if you've got all that money tied in your forwards, you're probably struggling in like your center or your guard position. Maybe you're not. Maybe you've just had a ripper year. But like, I would be looking to. Look, adding Lamb would be fantastic, but who would you start? They're all middling forwards, aren't they?
Well, the option you got there is to move Wardenberg to centre. I don't know who you got at centre. So that frees up a spot. Bannon's on a single. So I think if you had the not that you'd want to get rid of Bannon because he's going to keep making cash. He's got a roll. They've got to double one of the weeks coming up. But if you could go Wardenberg at centre, Doolittle, and potentially Lamb as your forwards, that's looking pretty special this week. And then it's a double for New Zealand. Get Doolittle out the week after. Bannon comes in. I think they're on a double in that week. And you could just about massage that quite nicely.
I like it. Let's have a chat about Mango. 28. Double game week incoming with a break even of 20. He's someone we can make a bit of cash out of, whether you feel comfortable holding him for the long term, but he's only 5% owned and making some cash.
I have had a really good hard long look at this one. I'm potentially looking at an Aldridge upgrade to Mango. I think he's only around that 170, 180K. He's
185,
had some down weeks.
700.
Yeah. But he what do you have this week? He had 11 points, 14 rebounds for 28 Supercoach points, which is it's what he should be doing with the minutes he's getting. So who does New Zealand play this week? They've got the 2 games. What are his matchups like that we're looking at here?
Let me have a look. I've only got a few screens open, but mate, talk to me. Talk to me about Will McDowell White and Parker Jackson Cartwright, and I'll get the matchups for New Zealand.
Yeah. So both underwhelming, right? Parker Jackson Cartwright started the season on fire, had a 60 Supercoach point game, something like that. And he's been good without being great sort of since then. The last 2 weeks have been a struggle. Foul trouble crept in. That was that's been the killer probably the last 2 weeks. But he had 20 actual points, 3 rebounds, 4 assists for 28 Supercoach points. There were a couple of turnovers. He's still getting the starting role. Will McDowell White, 5 points, 2 rebounds, 6 assists. It wasn't pretty. Like, something's wrong. This is not the guy that the entire league fought over to have as their starting point guard last year. Modi Mayor has won the golden ticket to Will McDowell White, and all of a sudden he's fallen out of favour. What's your take on that?
Look, it doesn't make sense. Like, Parker Jackson Cartwright and Anthony Lamb seem to be taking the shots for New Zealand, but I'd be putting the ball in Will McDowell White's hand and just see what happens, wouldn't you? He's talented.
Is this the same situation we're seeing in Illawarra where Justin Robinson, Tyler Harvey can't coexist on the floor? Is this what happens when we run 2 point guards who need the ball in their hand?
Hey, I'm worried that'll happen with our boy Taran and Miller as well.
Yeah, it seems to have been a trend over the last couple of years in the league. You're bringing in small guards running dominant ball handling point guards or combo guards or whatever you want to call them in the backcourt. The roles are getting murky, aren't they?
We do get those small guards in Australia, obviously, because they can't make it in the NBA. You can because of how many people want to play in the NBA, you can get the same talent level player, but they're also 6'4". Like, who would you pick in your team? And then we do get these extremely talented, undersized guards, a la Bryce Cotton, and these other blokes. But yeah, it does seem to be a bit of a trend.
Man. Like, these guys go. Like, you look at this year, you got Crawford, you've got Cotton, you got PJC, Shannon Scott. I don't know how tall he is.
Justin Robinson, Miller,
Justin Robinson,
Shannon's got
Jalen
6'3"
Adams
or something. So
like,
yeah,
they work, but I think it's the pairing. If you're going to put you build your team around a point guard, why would you recruit over him with the same position?
well, that's what Rob was excited earlier on in the season, chatting about Perth, like that. Getting Cotton out there and getting Usher out there would be the perfect sort of yin and yang, and that hasn't worked out either. So I don't know what the answer is.
But that's the sort of same thing we're talking about. Like, Perth's problems sort of came from having ball-dominant guards. Like, you're trying to run Cotton off ball. We spoke about it the other week. Traditionally, he's had like a Norton or a Damian Martin, these guys who don't need to shoot the ball, happy to do the dirty work. They're not even like getting great assist numbers. They're just moving the ball and letting Cotton do his thing, whereas you bring in ball dominance like the Webster brothers, all these people around him. Is this not enough to go around sometimes? Back to Mango Mathiang.
Yeah, let's go to the Bowen Mango. What do you think? You want to bring him in? You want to bring him in?
Yeah, I want to know the schedule this week for New Zealand.
So they are playing. They have a really good matchup in Illawarra, but they have a really bad matchup. Well, maybe not too bad of a matchup at the center position, but they're playing the Jack Jumpers.
See, I don't think either of those are great matchups. Like, who was it? Illawarra and Tassie.
Yep.
Yeah, so Illawarra, Sam Froling, he was good on the weekend. He's going to play big minutes. So Mango, if he's starting and he's going up against Froling, he's not getting the benefit of going up against your Peatling or your Aldrich or whoever they bring in at centre. Against Tassie, now he's got the two-headed monster, who are both pretty good defensive players in, Will Magnay now and the big fella. Marcus Lee. So I don't love the matchup at all.
No, look, I agree with you. I'm not even looking at Magnay, but break even at 20. Look, this is probably the week to have a punt. It's not far from an Aldrich, and let's just head into Illawarra. Cairns Taipans took care of them. They won by 10 points. Rather than starting at the top, let's start at the bottom with Lockie Aldrich, 1 point, 4 minutes. It's time over to go Lockie, isn't it?
Yeah. This is another one where I don't love you, Lockie Aldrich. I love the idea of you, and it didn't work out. It should have been better. You can blame Jackomas for pretty much all of Illawarra's problems, but at this point, it is what it is. He's going to start losing cash, and that's what I was talking about before. He's probably what I'm getting out to upgrade to Mango before I start bleeding too much cash.
You mentioned Sam Froling a bit earlier. 37 Supercoach points. Of course, if the schedule allowed, Froling and Gary Clark, all their work has been happening at the front. Look, he's been scoring really well, even though Illawarra haven't been scoring very well as a team. Justin Robinson, it's probably time to go if you were holding him in your lineup.
Yeah, guilty.
Oh, yeah. Sorry for bringing that up. But
Clark and Froling are probably the beneficiary of how badly the guys are shooting from the outside. They're just cleaning up just shit. It's a mess in Illawarra. It's like a train wreck. Like, you see that thing derail in front of you. It's so horrible, but you can't look away, right? It's still intriguing. Froling was dominant, though. It was 18 points, 10 rebounds, something like that, and faded late, as Illawarra always do. But, not a great situation over there at the moment. There's not a lot I want to touch.
One thing I do want to touch, it's the Taipan from Cairns. Look, honestly, like, with this great schedule, it's never too late to add someone. Bull Qual, 30 points. Taj McCall, 23. Our boy Taron Armstrong, 69K special with 20 points. We've had Wardenberg with 19. Lat Mayan, the shooter, 19. We've had Gak and Menenga in with a 19 and 9. Basically, how many can you get?
Yeah, so this is probably a good point to unpack it. Like, let's go through it. Taron Armstrong, I think, is a lock, right? The price is right. The production's there. The opportunity's there. Do want to get to the point where we can see how him and Miller coexist, because what are we round 8, and we haven't seen the two of them share the court once, have we?
No.
McCall, 16 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists, 3 steals, and as usual, 6 turnovers, which takes away 12 points. So he could have been in the low 30s, but rocks and diamonds with this guy. He just looks out of control sometimes, doesn't he? Like the road runner.
Does Taj McCall's minutes drop off when Miller comes back? Like, Taron Armstrong's gonna be there. He looks in the preseason. He looked like Josh Giddey. He looked like the second coming of him. But yeah, it's how this Miller coming back affects and who drops off. And you look at Bullquall, you look at Taron Armstrong, you look at Taj McCall. Do those guys' minutes drop, or is it just a Lap Mayan or somebody like that that falls out?
Yeah, it's hard to tell. Like, I think Lap probably misses out a bit, but then you got to look at the rest of it. Like, Bullquall's playing ridiculous minutes. It's probably going to trim back a little bit. But is Miller and Armstrong guys that can share the court together? Neither of them are prolific shooters. You know, they need the shooting to spread the floor so both of those guys can operate. They both love the ball in their hands. The original plan was that Armstrong was going to get the keys to the city. Miller was going to be a guiding force and, you know, on the bench, tutor him along. But Miller's probably a lot better than advertised. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens. Probably in a bit of a situation this week where if you don't have Miller already, which I got rid of him a couple of weeks ago with the injury, you can ease it. You can take a week to see what happens because you've got good guard coverage. I think a lot of us will have Cotton, PJC, Doyle. You've got enough coverage this week, and you can probably wait and see.
Taj McCall's dropped 44K. As
Not
a little
enough.
bit of a pod move, I've been half considering getting Taj in this
What's
week.
his break even?
60. So, yeah, you'd have to cover 30 and 30 again, which is doable. We've just said he's lost 12 points in turnovers. Maybe he wouldn't be doing as much handling of the ball with a Miller and an Armstrong. They still need, you know, guys out there that are not afraid to take the shot.
And that's it too. Like, he's going to get the minutes. He's everywhere, and that's a lot of the reason you get these turnovers. He's just involved in everything. Rebounds, well, he's pretty lengthy for a guard. I'm pretty sure he's guard forward eligible, so that's probably another.
Yeah,
luxury.
he's guard forward. It's pretty handy. I always said I would jump on Taj McCall at one stage,
Yes, you would.
and he's starting to look form wise. He's starting to look pretty good. I know the break even of 61 isn't ideal, but it's also ideal enough that other people won't jump on with me. And look, could even be a captain option.
You know, I don't hate it, but I'm going to wait a week. I think next week you're getting rid of Cotton. There's some cash that's going to be available. You're going to be banking on Taj McCall having a shocker and dropping another 40K. And if he's coming in at that lower price, then that's probably your price point because the schedule's there. You can ride this guy for the next 6-7 weeks. I think it's a good move, but it's really is trying to time the market, isn't it?
Cairns are playing Perth and the Jack Jumpers as well.
Not great matchups this week. I'm going to wait and see on this one, but I like your thinking. And next week it's possibly a go for me.
Yeah, look, I'll probably lock it in on the Wednesday show, but I'll have a bit of a chat about my thoughts so far. Mate, let's duck into the 36ers, my least favorite team to talk about, and the Jack Jumpers. Look, I thought this week, I haven't added a Jack Jumper all year. I can afford Jack McVeigh. Let's get him in. And he went and got me 19. I am disappointed, to say the least.
You would be, given what were your two other options, Lamb and Doolittle?
Yeah. I know. Maybe I was just... Honestly, it's just one of those, and like maybe the Taj McCall is exactly what I'm thinking about. Like maybe sometime trying to outthink the room, you just need to calculate your risks at times. But Jack McVeigh had two, you know, a single game week, and which is the same as everybody else, and a double game week next week. Look, he wasn't very highly owned. I just thought that it was a play. I wasn't super high on Lamb, obviously wrong. Wasn't super high on Doolittle because he's just not that exciting to watch. He's just a bit of a plotter in my eyes. And I thought, let's chase the upside in McVeigh. Look, 36ers did play better than I probably thought against the Jack Jumpers or the Jack Jumpers, like against the Bullets. That game went down to the wire. What was it, the week before? Maybe the Jack Jumpers aren't as good as we thought they were.
It's an interesting one because early doors, the Jack Jumpers, that ball was zinging. We were looking good. Now we're back, probably a hybrid now, like slightly better offense and not as good a defense, but we're getting teams back in the weeds again. It's not fantasy friendly or Supercoach friendly. They're low scores, a lot of turnovers. It hasn't been great. But in saying that, but Tassie, Doyle and Jay Craw, 30 and was it 38 and 34 Supercoach points respectively. But you look at their stat lines, they're not huge. Like neither of them scored much. Doyle had 13 actual points. We had the 5 rebounds, 8 assists, and the 4 steals. Even with 4 turnovers, got your 38. Like he's always thereabouts. Crawford, 17 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 steals. Like the steals always help. That's what was going on with PJC early on. He had 5 steals one game, 4 the next, and it really inflates those scores.
Yeah, I agree with you. Marcus Lee only got the 22 points. He was somebody I was looking at a pod earlier on in the year, but I'm just off him completely. Even at the discounted price now at 210K, I just don't want to borrow that unless I'm getting like a 26-minute a night Will Magnay for 120K in 3 or 4 weeks.
Let's come back to this Wednesday because that centre position is weak. We've given up on the Aldrich experiment. You got Mango, you got Wardenberg, you got Marcus Lee. And we're talking schedule wise. We're saying JLA and Source are potentially going to be quite irrelevant soon. Rolling has a terrible schedule. It's a really hard position to know what to do with, isn't it?
Yeah, like now that Source and JLA, like if either of them had a decent schedule going forward, like they would just be added.
Oh, you park it there for the rest of the season.
Yeah, and even Brisbane, like, Tyrell Harrison and Banger's always had that upside. He was good earlier on in the year. He was good in the preseason, got suspended. Like, he's somebody that you'd have a punt on in his price. It's just single game week after single game week at the moment.
Yeah, for sure.
Speaking of single game week,
Tassie?
let's just touch on the 36ers. Mitch McCarron, 27. Sort of a little bit of a resurgence from him in the single game week stretch. Isaac Humphries, 24. DJ 3J, 21. And everybody else sucked. So
we talked about Macca quickly last week. His price is pretty low now. And he came out with a 27, but it's one of those typical score lines we see from him. He's not really doing a lot. He had 7 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists, a steal and a block in about 30 minutes. Like, he rebounds well for a guard. He's always done that. But it's not great, is it? Like you take 27, but it's like Doolittle. You're thinking that's a bonus. It's not. You don't expect it.
Yeah, I agree with you. Let's have a look at, while we're chatting about 36ers, because this goes, our friend Nee with the best profile picture in the comp. If Trenton Flowers gets drafted in the NBA, he's quitting Supercoach. That's probably a fair thing.
Yeah.
I don't think he'd get drafted in the NBL next year.
And there's been a few next stars like that. They had what was the guy Southeast Melbourne had a few years ago that never even saw the court? He was meant to be a top whatever pick and never went anywhere. Brian Bowen. He was with Sydney, wasn't he? Terrence Ferguson. Yeah. Where's he now?
Oh, well, I think he played his last NBA game for OKC, but he was a beast in 2K. Can I add Terrence Ferguson though? He was that lengthy sort of guard that you could get for late 60 overall, which he probably should have been like a 50 overall. But Terrence Ferguson, he had a build on him.
Who makes these draft boards? Like the latest one I saw.
People that don't watch NBL games.
He had AJ Johnson ahead of Huck Porty. And they had Aldrich at 92nd overall, who can't even get 4 minutes in the NBL.
Yeah,
I mean,
not much going on there.
Stark,
Look,
Pittman, Daylight for second. Third.
I think Ulbrich can be a serviceable NBL player in the future. He's just so
Easy.
young. They'll ease him into it. I'd love to see him in the NBA, but I just don't see it happening yet. So
I'd like to see him back in the NBL next year, but with a better club. It's a terrible situation.
yeah, what's keeping you in Illawarra anyway? So
That's it. I heard there's good coffee down near the water though.
Speaking of probably better coffee, Melbourne United versus Southeast Melbourne Phoenix.
What a segue.
Yeah, thank you. And the long black, Joe Lualachul. Look, 48 Supercoach points. He's an absolute beast, and I tell you what, I'd be ordering a grande.
Absolutely. I've lost it. Absolutely, man. He was incredible. He really has changed the way that team plays. The length, the athleticism, the mobility. He gave Sauce problems. Like, Sauce was good, and to give Sauce credit, he is one of the best passing big men I've seen. I just love that high post sort of action with the back cutters and stuff. I'm trying my best not to say backdoor action there. But look, just the length troubles him. Sauce he's a beast, but he's undersized and the length troubled him a bit. He probably missed a few of the shots that he needed to. And JLA's bouncy. He just went about his business. Melbourne looked for him, and we've said it tonight already. If it wasn't for the schedule, we'd be all over this guy, right?
And again, with how many guys they were missing, Goulding had to take a lot of shots. He scored 27 Supercoach points. Flynn Cameron with 26. Rob Lowe with 21. Shea Illy, I still own him actually, with 19. I had him coming off the bench. Huck Porty, 9 in 9 minutes. And not much else from anyone else. But with all the guys they were missing, like your Ian Clarks, your Delis, your all those other guys. Who else were they missing? Luke Travis.
The kids are solid.
It was
though.
impressive.
Flynn Cameron, Kyle Bowen, it really didn't feel like they were missing big stars. Those guys came, played a role. I think Flynn had 4 or 5 threes. It was good to watch. There you go in the comments. Look, Terry Armstrong, that was the guy from Southeast Melbourne with the crazy hair that never played.
There we go.
Thank you.
There's some good questions in the chat. I'm going to bring this up. JLA has a 4 break even. Think about people that you can insert into your lineup and make money like a cash cow. But it's those single game weeks that just scare me off. I'd just rather punt on some guy with a -5 break even for 150K, wouldn't you? And spend that big money on guys on double game weeks.
And yeah, I don't think he's going big enough. Let's say he goes the same as this round. What do you have, 48?
Yeah.
Over 2 games, you only need a guy who's going to get 24. And he's up there in the 300s now. You could probably get 2 players for that. So
for the cash generation really as well, you got to take into account you're going to make 30K as well if he scores another 40.
Yeah. But I mean, at this point of the game, money's not really an issue, or hasn't been for me. It's more just a number of trades I need to do. But yeah, it's really frustrating with some of those guys who don't have forward center eligibility. Surely JLA should be forward. Alan Williams possibly should be forward as well. There's not much difference between a Wardenberg and a JLA, in terms of the way they, space the floor. I don't know. It's whoever makes this game needs a good stern talking to, Mattrix.
Right, let's go back to the coffee shop and look, Craig Muller, the frappe. But if it had to be a drink, it has to be the frappe, right?
We're not talking about the vanilla gorilla, are we?
Yes, we are. Yeah, it does have a bit of yeah. But Craig Muller got 32. Yeah, he's been starting. He's been good.
Yeah, look, I wouldn't go as far as saying good. He's been serviceable. But yeah, Southeast Melbourne just didn't look like they had together. Will Cummings was, as good as two men on leave. It was like 2 of 12 from the field or something. Brown had 16 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists. That's probably a baseline for him. Source, 14 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 blocks. He was good in the first half and started the game really well early, but foul trouble got the better of him. He only had 1 foul, or maybe just got his second before halftime, and just got a couple of cheapies pretty early on in the third and sat a lot. So, I'm still keeping the faith. He's good and he should be a captain option every time you play him. But that definitely hurt this week.
Dan Johnson with 8 points, Ruben Tarangi and Matt Kenyon doing what they usually do, but I'd Brown and Williams, and I suppose holding them on a single game week. I was just hoping for a bit more after how big they went the week before. Captaining Source as well. Southeast Melbourne have been in tremendous form, and I actually expected them to run away with all the injuries of Melbourne, and I suppose maybe that's why I was so impressed, because I geared up for this one just thinking, mate, Brown and Williams are going to have a field day. I didn't think I'd see a 32 from the Frappe.
Yeah, look, we mentioned it last week that potentially the length of JLA would be an issue, and I didn't take my own advice. So, what do you say with that? Bubbles though, 27 actual points, and I think he finished with 25 Supercoach points. So
27 Supercoach points actually. It was dead giveaway.
Yeah. The other takeaway, Huck Porty, only 9 minutes in the game.
Yeah.
I think if anyone's still on that train, you got to get off.
This is Joe's team now. It's his world. We just live in it.
Yeah, 100%.
Look, I'm seeing all the great questions coming in. We will get to them. We'll have a little bit of a question block there at the end. So thanks for everybody holding along. And let's talk about the first 35 minutes of the Bullets Kings game, hey?
Just before you do that, there's a toilet question that's popped up, and I've got no idea who the player is that he's talking about. So maybe we'll throw that out there for the group and see if we can get an answer by the end of the show.
Pop in. A flying toilet is... Yeah, read out what a flying toilet's asking, Hammer, and the guys can answer in the comments.
So, pop quiz. Can you name the only player in Supercoach with guard center eligibility? That just sounds like a glitch. Glitch in the map.
I can't, so I'm interested to see who it is. I'm sure it is somebody who's like 58K or something like that, because I haven't come across it in my research. So, Kings 104 took care of the Bullets 95, and I suppose that doesn't tell all the story. Bullets have been great the last few weeks, narrowly losing to Tassie against the reigning champs, up 9 with 3 minutes and 20 seconds to go. Tell us what happened. I can't get through it.
They imploded, didn't they? It was cataclysmic. Norton had an absolute shocker. He got dimed up beautifully under the hoop by our man Bannon. Mr. Gimme had a turnover the next possession. It was just funky. It was out of sync. Jalen Adams was quiet for Sydney and then just turned on the Jets in the last couple of minutes and got them home. I sort of half watched the game. I was doing other things, but it was less than inspiring. It wasn't much of a game, was it?
Oh, look, I was at can I tell you about how big the NBL is getting at the moment? I went into the Forest Hill pub. There's about 4 people that ever drink there. I went into the Forest Hill pub on the weekend for a work Christmas party. We'd basically hired the whole place, and the NBL was on. I was talking to my mate on the phone today, and 10 years ago, I've always kept up with the NBL. I've always watched it. I've always been an NBA guy and everything as well. I'm wearing my Ja Morant jersey. He's a gun. But I would have never walked into a pub and the NBL would have been playing 10 years ago. And right now, Kings vs Bullets was on the big screen as I walked into a rural pub that, 10 people max are usually there on a Thursday afternoon, for example. I just think the NBL has taken strides, and Supercoach has been a big thing for it as well. But NBL is taking strides towards just being recognised as a top tier sport in Australia, isn't it?
Yeah, ain't no cupcake league, yeah.
Nah, ain't no cupcake league. Look, let's start with the Bullets. Josh Bannon, 23, continues to rise in cash. Sobey with 34. He did have a break even of 40. I did sort of say, like, why are we getting rid of him? Because he can score well against any team. And he did. Still lost 11K. But you're not going to be 34 would have been my high scoring player this week. So, it would have been great to have Sobey in the lineup. DJ Mitchell is now 140K. And scored 18. Chris Smith keeps dropping in cash. He's gone sub 200 now. But he's just still hasn't gone into a stretch where I'm willing to take a punt. Sam McDaniel, you should be off him. Mitch Norton, again, continues to make cash. He's got a 3 break even coming into next week. And basically every centre for Brisbane were awful. So,
yeah, look, that centre situation is a little interesting. I saw Harrison played the 12 minutes. Baines has played the 16 minutes. So it's starting to flip. Baines still come off the bench, but he's starting to ramp his minutes up again. Rocco got about 7 minutes. So you obviously don't play any of them together. I haven't seen it at all this season. But you're pretty much going to split 40 minutes 3 ways. So that's the risk we're jumping on any of those guys. I'm not seeing a lot. The only thing that's sort of in the wings is Shannon Scott coming back. Watch out for any Norton holders. Bannon, though, I love when a guy has a defined role. Yeah. We know he's going to get that 30 minutes a night. Shula loves him. DJ Mitchell now has resigned to the fact that he's going to go off the bench unless there's foul trouble. And I think Bannon you can keep probably for the rest of the season, or at least late into the season, whether you start him or play him on the bench, because he's definitely startable at times. He's not, a weapon, but he had 37 or something the other week. I think he had 23 or something this week. He's definitely playable.
He's still got a negative break even, and he's gone up 157K. Is that not the perfect cash cow?
100%. That's what we're all hoping for some of these other ones to be, like Aldridge, and it's probably Galloway 2.0.
I think Taryn could. Yeah, I think Taryn could do this. I see a world where Taryn could go up 150K in the next 5 weeks. So,
all right. Well, picture this: if you don't get on Taryn right now, and you hold him for these 9 games, so after 9 games, let's say he's up around that sort of 200K mark, maybe more. He's probably going to be somewhere around like Banner, maybe early 200s.
Yep.
Are you not going to have the cash for those last sort of 5 rounds to target, those teams? Do you need that cash builder who will produce for the next however many games? Like, is this a boat you can't afford to miss?
You have to have. Bannon and Taryn are as the most must-have that you can have in the game at the moment. I know we go and say that Sauce is must-have, on his good weeks. Cotton is must-have at times. I would argue that you could just substitute, a Cotton for a Jalen Adams. You can't substitute cash generation.
No.
You need to have Bannon and you need to have Taryn right now. If you were silly enough not to have them yet so far, just still a -3 break even. Just made 157K. Just could shoot for the moon.
And it's been a bit of a blessing in disguise with both of them being injured for the first 4+ rounds. We're getting those basement bargain cash cows at a time when we've already sort of let those initial cash cows expire. It's good. What would Taryn go up this? We went from 69 to 90 or 100, something like that.
Yeah, something around that, between 90 and 100. So
that's good. And that was the round.
Look, no, we just have to go Sydney. DJ Hogue, 32. Jonah Bolden, 32. Jalen Adams, 32. Jordan Hunter, still frustrating with 25. Denzel Valentine, still ordinary with 23. And Alex Tui, you can lock him in for 20 every week.
Yeah.
And that's the round.
That's the round. No great surprises. Doing it by committee. You know, there's a lot of mouths to feed in Sydney, but they're all eating. Time for some questions, hey?
Yeah, let's answer some questions. Unless you want to go through any of your trade talks a little bit early, mate.
Look, for me, trades this week is getting Source out. That's the number one priority. And it's either going to be shoring up my forwards or potentially bringing in Mango Mathiang or someone along those lines to upgrade Aldrich before he starts to drop cash. So I'm pretty well set. I've got PJC and Cotton in my guards. Need to get rid of J-Rob somehow off my bench. I've got Taryn sitting there. Got Bannon. Got Clintman. Got Lamb. Like, I don't have to do too much this week. I'm pretty well set up. So it's a bit of fixing up the Source issue and a little bit of maintenance with that second trade.
Yeah, look, I'm getting rid of barbecue sauce as well. I also have to get rid of Gary Brown. I've had 2 Southeast Melbourne players through the single. Gary Brown's been great for me. I think I've had him basically the whole year. Has made me some cash as well. But trading out a 403k player and a 364k player, I'm going to have a lot of cash to splash this next week. But I know I'm going to talk about it Wednesday, but I don't know. Yeah, I honestly don't know. Like, I like the idea of Milton Doyle. I'm wondering if it's too late to get on Lamb. I don't like the idea of getting Lamb and Doolittle in. Do I just bring in a captain option like a Bryce Cotton, or am I overthinking it and I could just captain a Parker Jackson Cartwright or something? That's probably... Actually, answering a lot of these questions might actually help me with that. I've currently just looked at Lamb and Cotton. I have the money to go Lamb and Cotton and still have 70k in the bank. So that's how much bank I have at the moment. I can do anything.
Also, Mattrix, our community team. Where are we at with that?
I don't know. Let's answer some questions and I'll look into it.
Find out. All right, cool. Chuck them up.
Look, let's answer some questions. A flying toilet is starting Finn Delaney this week. That is more of a statement than a question. And he doesn't run from a toilet truth bomb, and that could be... Look, he is a flying toilet, but that could be a stinker.
Yeah, that's... move on.
Have you heard anything about Bobby Clintman being back yet? It was sort of a late scratching. I would presume that he'd be able to field the court.
The way it was made out was like it was not much. I'd fully expect him to be back this week. I'd expect Paddy Miller to be back this week. So yeah, until we hear otherwise, I've held them. So we'll see what happens.
I see a lot of people trading out. Just looking around on Twitter and some things like that. I see a lot of people trading out Bobby Clintman. I don't really understand why.
No. Whether you're starting him or put him on your bench, and likely he's going to be on your bench most weeks, he's still going to generate some pretty decent cash. He has a role, and he can get you some points. The schedule's there. He's on a double every week. It'd be ludicrous to get rid of him at this point.
Paul Bark obviously asked a little bit earlier who they could add. What's your team name so that you could add it as a rivalry? Everybody get on and add the Box Score Bandits. Have a chop at the title, as I hear Hamish saying off air. So
you're making that one up.
But yeah, enter the Mattrix if you want to play against me. So I know no one asked, so I'll just give you that one for free. So Teo has asked, Paddy Miller do you know when he's back? Well, I haven't heard anything yet. I would expect that he comes back this week. I believe he was close last week.
Yeah, I'd imagine we'll probably have more news for our Wednesday show. And when Matty hits the breaking news button, we should have something to report back.
I might even be wearing that coat in the background.
Yeah, when are we getting your coat back? I don't want to hear the news anymore unless you're going to put your jacket on.
All right, Xander Sully might be back next week. So, some more questions. Thinking Ulbrich out for Menenga. I tell you, Ulbrich is frustrating. At least Menenga's playing minutes. Got 9 on the week. On his single game week. He's cheap enough just to go sideways, and you're going to get double the points. I mean, you're going to get single the points because you're not going to start him. You're going to get double the points halved. I don't know. It sounds good. And Pinder in for Williams sounds sideways with a better schedule. So that's actually the perfect trade.
I don't hate the Pinder one. I might even look at that myself. Pinder for Source gives you the chance of some solid productivity. The only issue is if you're holding Cotton, they both go to singles the week after. So you need to make sure you don't have any extra trades you need to do. That centre position, if you can have a Wardenberg, and I know he's not as high a ceiling, but the schedule there...
It's not as sexy.
Forget.
It's not as sexy.
Yeah, you're right.
It's not sexy, but... Fuck, he plays twice as much as anyone else.
Exactly.
When Source gets 30, he has to get 15 twice. Bang him in for 20 every game, I think.
Yeah, I think so. He's had 2 down weeks, so he's at a discount now as well.
Our friend with the great profile picture is asking the cheapie we get from trading Saar. Would you say Mango?
I think Mango's... I would have said it at the start of the show. I think I've talked myself out of it after the schedule this week playing Tassie and Illawarra, but I think that's a fair trade. I think Saar, he's not going to give us what we were hoping for, and that's John Riley's fault. I think he's more than capable of giving us what we needed, but I think he's peaked in value, and this is what it is now.
I'm there with you. Yeah, look, we answered that one a little bit early on. He's trading Pinder from Big Mac Sauce and trading McDaniel for Bull Qual. Hey, at least he's playing twice as much, so can't argue with that. A couple of guys in the comments captaining Parker Jackson Cartwright. Ulbrich could have been the most disappointing player in Supercoach this season. I wouldn't say the most disappointing player. He's a 69k player that gave us probably too much of a glimmer in the, I suppose, the warm-up games, the preseason games, in the Blitz. This is what 69k players do.
Who is more disappointing, and why is it Trenton Flowers?
Yeah, it's Trenton Flowers.
Yeah. There's been a couple of those
Trenton
that haven't lived up.
I actually haven't owned Trenton Flowers all year, so I'm going all right.
I'll tell you who else, Majok, because he's still owned by a number of teams. What the hell are they doing?
Oh, they're just, honestly, you had to get that starting team right to start off with. So, because otherwise, how long did we hold Henschel? I know he made 2K, so I'm pretty happy about that. But, yeah, Majok, he's not burning you, but it's about the same as holding Ulbrich at the moment. And, look, to get out of Source and Gary Brown, I actually have to hold Ulbrich again. I'm worried. Okay.
Yeah, Peatling's back, and it seems like this is his role now.
It's not boost worthy to get, and this is this could be a question for my therapist.
90K anyway.
Stan Menenga.
Yeah.
It's not boost worthy, right?
No, not at all. You're not going to gain enough. As long as in the next couple of weeks you do have a spare trade to do it. You just don't want to lose that 30k when he drops back to 69.
Do you have any ideas what Squint Your Eyes profile picture is? Because he just said squint your eyes and you like my profile picture. I have no idea what it is.
Is it the Twin Towers?
Maybe that's just how his team looks at the moment. I'm not sure. Get us in the comments. I'm a little bit higher in the comments, so we're answering everybody's questions. So, McCall or Pinder to bring in? What do you think? Matty Thomas.
Pinder on a 1 week. Well, it depends where you're putting him. Pinder's a good center option because there's not many this week. McCall, Mattrix and I are probably on different sides of the fence with this one. You're calling it, aren't you? And I'm saying wait another week.
What if I tell you that Pinder and McCall's break even are exactly the fucking same? Because it is.
Well, then I'd say good research. I think there's more value
Thanks,
in
man. Means
at
a lot.
forward between Doolittle and Lamb. I don't think there's enough at centre. So if you've got Doolittle and Lamb, I wouldn't be bringing McCall in this week. I'd wait for the price drop and bring in Pinder to get some coverage at centre.
Yep. So you're saying bring in none?
No. Well,
Cool.
if I was going to bring one of the two, I'd probably bring in Pinder
Cool.
at centre.
Sounds good. He's calling it. I'll probably bring in McCall. Pinder's disappointed me, so
It's a big
I'm
McCall.
off him. That is a big McCall. Squinting your eyes again. Who's more important to get? Cotton, the cotton picker. Oh, I tell you what. Do you like my my little artwork? I know we haven't brought up the cotton farming yet, but Cotton has to be a captain option this week. He was the second highest scoring bloke, and I tell you what, I just wanted to chew on some wheat.
Yeah, look, I'd be bringing in Cotton for sure. He was good last week. My only concern is, though, 43 Supercoach points made up of 37 actual points. And I've seen the comments about whether you Parker Jackson Cartwright versus Cotton. Cartwright's going to hit the stat sheet a bit more, but that's not to say that Cotton can't, because we've seen him have 10 assist games and get some good steal numbers. I think I'll be going with Cotton. He's on a roll.
Cool. Sounds good. A flying toilet saying Wiley's a target next week. Surely he turns his form around. Not with that schedule, champ. So, Corey Blackledge, thoughts on Adams to Miller, Sauce to Lamb, or Pinder and Ulbrich to Mathiang? What's that?
Is he using 6 boosts?
I have no idea. Sauce to either Lamb or Qual. He's using 1 boost.
Look.
Oh, maybe. Okay, so
Miller.
He's going Sauce to Lamb, Qual, or Pinder, and Ulbrich to Mango. Yeah. He's using the money for Adams to Miller to fund Ulbrich to Mango, and then just going Sauce to Lamb, Qual, or Pinder.
Yeah. Look, Adams to Miller, it depends what else you got in your guard spots. I don't love Miller with Armstrong there right now, and we still haven't heard if he's back for sure. So I'd probably wait on that, and there's better options, whether you're getting a Cotton or a PJC. Sauce to Lamb or Qual. Yeah, look, Lamb
or
probably
Pinder.
beats Qual.
Or Pinder.
Or Pinder. It depends where you're playing them. Like, we spoke about Pinder before. I don't mind that. Ulbrich to Mathiang, we've spoken about that. It's all there.
Look, Qual was the highest scoring player at 230k on the team that we all want. Forward guard eligible, 10% owned, 30 break even, 230k. Are we overlooking him a little bit? I know I did the show with Mickey Dell last week when you were away. Maybe it was the week before. I don't know. It all just fades in. But are we overlooking Bull Qual?
I don't think we're overlooking him. I just think we're stacked at guard. If you're looking like right now, I've got Cotton, PJC. Could potentially bring in Doyle. Where's he fit there? Like, unless
you can just play him at forward.
He's forward eligible, is he?
Yeah. Yep. Breaking news.
Well, I take back everything I said. You take this question.
No, he is forward guard eligible, 30 break even. Yeah, look, I'm just saying, like, there's an option of getting him in, getting double the games for 9 games. He could be.
Now you mentioned that, I want to upgrade Kyron Galloway to him. That's gotten all tasty all of a sudden. I'll get back to you on Wednesday. Nice.
Sounds good. Do we like Doolittle or Pinder if you had to choose? Keep in mind that one has a 30 break even, one has a 60 break even.
I'd probably be taking Doolittle.
Cool. Sounds good. Let's have a little bit of a look through the comments. A few people, Ja Moran is a gun. So, got himself a 25-game suspension. I'm aware. Global thoughts on McVeigh this week for a double game against New Zealand and Cairns. My heart is broken. Hammer, take it.
Look, I wouldn't be bringing him in. If you're holding him, it's pretty hard to trade away a guy before a double. I'd hold. But yeah, I definitely wouldn't be bringing him in because the schedule gets pretty lean after this.
Rick Barry, Golden State Warriors champion in the comments. Parker Jackson Cartwright or Cotton for captain. I know you touched on it a little bit earlier. Parker Jackson Cartwright does have a couple of those counting stats, whereas Cotton just gets, he's a walking bucket at the moment. If you had to take a punt, with no research, what do you reckon?
Yeah, look, I own both. So you'd be happy either way. PJC he hasn't been good to me when I've captained him. He's due. I get the feeling like he's due, but then you've also got McDowell White there now. McDowell White wasn't there early doors when he was putting up the big scores. So I know they're not playing on the court a lot together, but it's sort of cramping his style a bit, I feel. And he doesn't have Cheatham there. He's lost the lob target.
Yeah. Look, I think that I would probably be leaning towards Parker Jackson Cartwright maybe a little bit.
Okay.
Just like when we've seen like Cotton go low in a couple games. I know that it doesn't happen very often, but he has still dropped 70K this year. He's dropped 70K because he hasn't been as good. So he's got a 3-round average of 49 though, which is pretty sexy.
Yeah, it's hard to walk away from it, isn't it?
Yeah. Look, Global's looking at Tui and Aldrich for Lamb and McVeigh. He's got Berger on the pine. I actually really like that. You probably can't afford a Doyle, I would presume, if you're doing that. But McVeigh is what, 309K. Doyle is 314K. I would probably lean towards a Doyle over McVeigh if you can make it work with your duels.
Yeah, and that dual position's good with those guys. You massage it around a bit, but Doyle is a legitimate captain option this week. Every week he's on a double, he is, but that's a pretty solid upgrade if you can do it.
Look, we've been everybody's therapist this week, but maybe you should get in the comments and just mention to Carl because we've got the coach of the double dribbles on. Won himself a squeeze pack or a 4-in-1. Enjoy one of these, big fella.
Yeah, for sure. Congratulations.
Look, we've got Majok owners getting burnt in the comments, as they should be on our podcast. Thoughts on... We've answered that one a little bit. I'm having a look. Pinder for Lamb, already have Cotton. Do we like Pinder for Lamb? If you've got Pinder, you hold him through this week, don't you?
Yeah, depends what your long-term play is. Like, you could hold Pinder. You could potentially move him to centre and get someone else out. But Lamb, he's on a double-double and then a couple of nice little bits in their schedule coming up as well. So, yeah. The thing with Lamb, though, I'm nervous for Zylan Cheatham to come back and see how that impacts the whole dynamic.
Yeah, I'm not going Sam Kekovich on him yet, but I'd still give it a crack.
Yeah, of course you would.
Look, mate, we've got plenty to talk about on Wednesday. I think this wraps it up, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Little short round, long pod. Let's save it for the preview show.
Thanks for everybody for popping on. You've listened to an Insight Fantasy Sports podcast. Cheerio.